That still cracks me up every time I hear those hands clapping. So welcome to 2D Web Solutions, episode 12, where you ask questions and we find solutions. Thank you so much for being here for this episode of Aspects of Design and Development. I'm Kerry Carron, founder of Ultimate Solution, LLC.
I am Arelthia Phillips, founder of Pintop Solutions, LLC. Today's episode format is going to differ a bit from what you've seen during season 1. Normally, we answer up to 5 different design and development business-related questions from our visitors. Is our 12th episode, which, I can't believe it, but it is our 12th episode. And so we're going to be recapping the 2D Web Solutions season 1 in its entirety and discussing next season's expectations.
But fear not, you can still have your questions answered and discussed during a future episode by visiting our website, 2dwebsolutions.com, anytime and submit your question over there. So without further ado, let's get started.
All right, so Kerry, this is our 12th episode. It seems like just yesterday that we did our first episode where we talked about getting to where you are.
Wow, so episode 1 was getting to where you are. What are some of the things that we talked about during that episode? Was that the one where we discussed the different aspects, the differences between a designer and a developer?
Think it was, it was like basically that it's about that once you decide that you want to be in business, how do you decide if you're a designer or a developer? I think that's what we talked about.
Right. And if I remember correctly, the takeaway from that one was designers and developers are problem solvers. And so we gave that as one of our image quotes and also talked about, knowing and moving toward knowing what you want and where you are.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And so that was like, wow. So we went from there to, I think the next episode, we talked about seeking the advice of a professional.
Right.
And so basically in that episode, that was like what I like to call just a disclaimer episode. It's always, okay, seek the advice of a professional.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Sure.
So when you're seeking the advice of a professional, of course, there's so much that has to be said to that. I'm trying to remember all of the little details of that. I know some of the questions we had was, when did you decide to build a business entity, and how did you decide which entity to use, and all of that sort of thing. But the main takeaway from that episode was protect yourself and your business with professional advisors.
Yes.
So have you had many people come up to you since doing that episode and ask you for additional information on where to find that help?
That's one of the areas that, I don't know, maybe people just tend to pay attention to me a little bit too much online and notice not to ask me those kind of questions. I don't seem to get a lot of questions about stuff like that. I tend to get more questions related to like the episode that came after that, actually, which is like the one, I think it was like setting yourself up for success. I get more questions related to that, how to set up your systems and everything and get everything organized in that way. Right.
So what was our episode after that one then?
Which episode?
I think, what are we on? Are we up to number 4 already?
Number 4? That was about, number 4 about attracting and keeping ideal clients, or am I like my numbers off? Am I thinking?
I'm looking at mine and I'm like, I can't remember the order either. And I'm thinking, was it setting yourself up? No, you said you were setting yourself up for success, which was the next one that was after that. So you said that was the one that you get a lot of the a lot of the questions on. And the takeaway from that episode was make working smarter part of your business process.
Okay. All right. So we're on what episode number are we on? Like tonight I'm having,
I think we're on 5
one
now.
of those days.
We're on episode 5.
So we're on 5 and we're talking about clients, keeping clients, maintaining clients. And what do you do to keep those clients?
Right.
How do you
and
get
the
them?
thing
How
that
do you
we
keep
decided was the most important takeaway when it came to attracting and keeping ideal clients is provide clear expectations that have boundaries. And so we talked a lot about, making sure that you keep those communications open and how to have some follow-up with them, as well as setting yourself and your business up with some boundaries so that your clients know exactly what to expect. Now, I remember in episode 6, one of my favorite things about episode 6 was the image that we had that went with that episode, that silly looking horse.
Yeah, I think we used that horse in multiple places because it was just it just grabbed your attention. It grabbed your attention. Yeah.
All right, so what's up next?
I think that's when we received a question about like the whole process of creating a podcast. How do you create this podcast? We know, people like ask this question like, oh man, y'all are doing so much. It sounds so great. What are y'all doing? All these steps. And so we finally did a podcast on how do you create a podcast.
That's right. That one had a lot of useful information in it. And I know for a fact we had a number of listeners who were specifically interested in that and got that information. And I have no idea if I'd like to know if any of our listeners out there have actually started a podcast. So if you did, leave us a note and get back to us, and we'll add you to our listen list and check you out. So for the podcast, the takeaway for the podcast was basically just do it. Just, create your podcast and make it happen. I'm having trouble finding, I'm looking all over trying to find where we have that specific quote. Let me take a look, maybe it's on the next page. And nope, that one went back. I guess we're not real organized today. All right, so what do we have for the next episode? And I think your video is having a little bit of issues. Hopefully it's not on the entire podcast. But let's see, where did we go from there? After the podcast, we had some fun with, let's keep going. Maybe I have it on my phone. After the podcast, it was shiny objects. How to approach shiny objects. And I think we lost Aletha, so I'm going to just keep going and make this happen. We talked about what a shiny object was. Oh, she's back. That's great. Hopefully we'll have her jump in with some sound. Are you back, Aletha?
I think I might be back.
I think you are. All right, so I tried to keep it going best I could. I left off with the podcasting and that podcasting helps others learn from your experience was the final quote on that one. And then I introduced our approach to shiny objects. Okay. So we're talking about the shiny objects and how important it is to know exactly what your business needs, when your business needs it, and how to take a look at those. Do you recall what the takeaway from that one was by chance?
The shiny object one, the takeaway from that, if I remember correctly, don't allow shiny objects to distract you from your business objectives.
Yep, that's what I remember too. And you had that funny picture of that rabbit.
Yeah, it's like when you watch a rabbit or a squirrel run across and then all of a sudden you're distracted. You can't let shiny objects do that to you in your business.
That's right. That's
And,
right.
and then from there, Carrie, that was the next episode where we talked about discovering your hierarchy of needs.
Yes, I think this is another one of my most favorite episodes of the season because it's so important. The takeaway from that one was, make sure that you build upon what is stable and in order to get to the top. And I think
and guys, if you have not
combining
seen
and using the episodes that we put together from episode 1 and building upon our episodes really gets you established, or at least gives you somewhat of an idea of where to go in a business when you're first starting up. But as we look back at the entire year, Arelthia, which of the episodes that we had did you enjoy doing the most? Or which is most important to you?
I think that I enjoyed the episode about probably the one where you talk about like setting your business boundaries. I enjoyed that episode a lot. Also, I enjoyed the episode about the actual process of creating the podcast. Because sometimes when you do things, you don't always think about what you really do, how much it takes something completed and out there so that everyone can experience it. And it just helped me realize that we're doing something that it takes a lot of work, and it's something that not everybody's necessarily willing to do. But right. I'm glad that that we have this partnership that allows us to put this together and get it out there to everyone.
Well, one of the things that I've noticed over the last year is even our process in putting the podcast together. We're taking the time to do the research and find out all of the information. And not only are we sharing it because we've been doing all of it all along, but we can reevaluate where we're at and reapply what we already know and grow and become even better at what we're doing. And that is pretty big for me. As far as a favorite episode, I agree with you. I love the episode about setting boundaries. One of the most common questions that I get from different web designer and developer type clients that I have is, structuring your business and, what to set up where and what to address when. And it's an ongoing morphism, for lack of a better term, for how I do things. I try things and it works until it doesn't work. And then once it doesn't work, I reevaluate it and I find something to make it work better. And then I just move on and grow from there. So what is your biggest takeaway that you have been able to apply in any of your aspects of your business throughout this season? I think I lost the sound on you again. All right, well, we're going to move on because I can't hear Arelthia. So the next thing on our agenda, I asked Arelthia if, she's texting me here, so I asked if what in our episodes have you been able to apply in any aspects of your business?
I think the biggest thing, I think you may have mentioned this, even though I was cutting in and out, is that it has caused me to look at some of my practices a little bit closer. Especially sometimes we do things just out of tradition or because that's the way we've always done it. But once you start to verbalize it to someone else, you start to think, why am I really doing it the way that I do it? And it helps me to think about, my processes a little bit more.
Yeah, I agree. And that's kind of an ongoing thing too. I don't think that ever stops in any business. And I think if it does, your business stands a chance of becoming stagnant and old and no longer interesting. So
I think so. I
Some
think so.
takeaways there.
And yeah, yeah. And you know, the interesting thing is that when you talk about things getting like old and stagnant and you want to make changes to it, one of the things that we're going to change is our site. If you notice, we already started making some changes, but for season 2, we're going to make even more changes in how it looks and how it's organized, just to keep it fresh, make it easier for you to find content, not just current content, but past episodes as well.
And if you guys as our users are finding anything that's difficult for you, we appreciate your input because we want to make it as easy as possible for you. And we are always open to making changes that are going to help you have an easier time using our resources for your solutions. So feel free to submit your comments as well as any questions you might have on the website to help us in that aspect of it.
Yeah. And speaking of questions, Kerry, guys, here's some things that we got from you that you would like for us to focus on in season 2. So one of the things we got from you is that you want us to focus on the social life of an entrepreneur, or as some of you all may know, the lack of a social life.
Isn't that the truth? In fact, I think that is going to be what our first episode of season 2 is going to be. So if you've got any specific questions that you want to address in reference to the social life of an entrepreneur, or some suggestions if you are an entrepreneur of how you have a social life and how you stay involved with others, let us know that as well. In addition to that, we have questions coming from you guys in reference to business practices and roles. So look forward to that in season 2. What else, Arelthia? I think we lost you again. So we also have some input from you guys in reference to client interaction and business positioning. We're also going to go into some very specific tools and how to use them so that you guys can get some hands-on experience using some of the same tools that we use within our businesses. And we are going to do some dealing with change and how to, when things, if you're using other people's products and perhaps you are an affiliate, how to deal with if their project changes, how to adapt your business in order to accommodate other people's changes. Arelthia, are you back with us? I'm still not hearing you on this end, so I'm just going to keep going, and feel free to interrupt if you do get back online. We're going to touch on some additional resources that we use in our business, and we're going to go into personal and business development as well. And providing support. In other words, choose when to use a Band-Aid and when to make an actual fix, because there's a lot of Band-Aids out there that don't actually fix problems. They just make them appear to go away, and there's a big difference. So we'll touch on that a little bit too. So I'm going to wrap this up pretty quickly here because I'm not certain that Arelthia is still with us. Can you hear me, Arelthia?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me, Kerry?
I certainly can. Let's go back to you and let you tell us today what is our tip of the day to tweet.
Our tip of the day to tweet is create your plan, take action, and experience your success.
Fantastic. That is a really cool tip.
Yes. But before we go, guys, we do want to hear from you. We encourage you to leave your comments on our website located at 2dwebsolutions.com so we can continue that conversation over there. Next time, I think Kerry already mentioned this, but guys, we're going to be talking about the social life of entrepreneurs, how you can have a social life.
Absolutely. And remember, when you ask questions, we find solutions. So while you are over on the website, be sure to submit your design and development questions so that we can address them in a future episode.
And if you're really ready to take action towards building your self-successful design and development business, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel or our podcast, which are currently available through iTunes, Android, RSS email, and Stitcher. We'll see
We'll
you.
see you on the next 2D Aspects of Design and Development episode. Till then, we'll see you later.